Breaking news. A Royal Marine has been appointed new First Sea Lord.
A Royal Marine in this role sends a message that other branches of the Royal Navy can rise to the top.
If he's the right man for the job, which I think he is, then, who cares what colour his uniform is?
An unconventional choice.
Welcome to Tactical Truths, the go-to series for military news, tactical analysis, and frontline stories that matter. Before we get started, I need your help. 73% of you who watch regularly haven't subscribed yet. If you like what we do, hit that subscribe button, it's free, and helps us make this show better for you every single week. I'm Phil Campion, former UK SAS, and this is Tactical Truths. A Royal Marine has just been handed the keys to the Royal Navy. Admiral Sir Gwyn Jenkins, he's taken over as First Sea Lord, replacing Admiral Sir Ben Key, who is under investigation. It's a move that's ruffled feathers. Some say it breaks tradition, others say it breaks ground. But with whispers of war crime cover-ups, defence scandals, and a strategic defence review in the pipeline, it's not just about who's in charge, it's about why now. Now let's take a look at what's being said by the press, shall we? Here's the man himself, Admiral Sir Gwyn Jenkins. He's the head of the Royal Navy, don't know. He's the first bootneck ever. Some said it was never ever going to happen, but it has, and there he is. He's got an old rack of gongs on him and all, hasn't he? Yeah, he's seen a bit and done a bit, this man, I can tell you. He's the former leader of the UK Special Forces as well, which throws up a whole heap of other stuff, which will probably go behind our firewall, if I'm honest, and we'll talk about it on Force TV Plus. But for now, let's do what we're here to do. This is the head of the Royal Navy. Traditionally, of course, the head of the Royal Navy has always been a Navy man, a proper Navy man, as they would say. He's a Navy man as well, but he's a Marine, he's a Royal Marine, right? A Navy man, a naval officer. Funnily enough, the guy, Admiral Sir Ben Key, the guy he's replacing, obviously, he's under investigation for a few bits and pieces. He's, obviously been deemed as not being able to continue in the post that he's got. So, someone's had to pick up the pieces. BBC's Panodrama, of course, has been a catalyst to a lot of this shite that's going on behind the scenes. And why wouldn't it? Because they just don't seem to have any interest of the British military at all whatsoever until it's time to start patting people on the shoulder for when they do well. Do you know what I mean? So just another snipe at the BBC from me. I really are despicable. And that Panodrama programme in particular just seems to do anything to grab a headline and muddy the waters for anybody if it feels it can muddy the waters for it. It just pisses me off, to be honest, but there you go. Right, we're not going to go into these allegations on here. We're not going to talk too much about, the links from who and where and when and why and what, because that's not for this side of the firewall. It's not for this chat. It's not for this discussion at all. So we'll just concentrate on your man. And is he or isn't he going to do what he's going to do, which is an extremely difficult job as head of the Navy? I mean, the Ministry of Defence's stand on the whole thing is that Jenkins has been brought in to do a job. They haven't said anything about these allegations or the inquiries that are going on. So they've just said, we've got a new man in charge of the army. Are they trying to deflect stuff elsewhere? What are your thoughts on this? Let us know below. I mean, seriously, have you got thoughts on this? Because it's not something the mainstream media have picked up on at all. They've just said, well, there's a bootneck in charge of the Navy. This is strange. This is odd. This is different. It is strange, it's odd, it's different, but it's good. It's a positive move. They've got, in a time when we're likely to go to war, they've got a fighting man in charge of the Navy, which is good. And I think that's a positive, a massive positive to be had out of all this sort of stuff. Do you know what I mean? Whether he's going to get embroiled in all this other stuff, well, that remains to be seen. But my primary thing is, have we got the right man to be in charge of the Navy? Is he capable of doing what it says on the tin? And I think he is. I think he's a very capable bloke, a very experienced guy, and a very understanding of the ways of the entire Navy, you know. And of course he knows what shape a ship is. Do you know what I mean? He's not stupid, is he? There he is with the king, getting his OBE.
Recently, a BBC Panorama investigation alleged he oversaw the rejection of resettlement claims from Afghan commandos who served with UK Special Forces amid allegations of extrajudicial killings. There's a public inquiry chaired by Lord Justice Haddon Cave into these claims, and the Ministry...
I do suspect that this allegations thing is going to, at some stage, overshadow anything else that this man does. So, you know, we will be looking at it at a separate date, especially as it involves sort of like other people outside of the Navy in this respect, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, we will be having a butchers at this, but not now.
Defence said it was not appropriate for the MoD to comment on allegations explored by the inquiry. Appointing General Jenkins and not an admiral who's commanded forces at sea is an unconventional choice. But a Royal Marine in this role sends a message that other branches of the Royal Navy can rise to the top. And this promotes...
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. It does send a message that anybody is capable of going anywhere, and that's another positive message for me. And especially as the Royal Marines are an integral part of the Navy, they are the Navies. They're the protectorates of the Navy, aren't they? They are, you know, they're the people there. It's them. They're the movers and shakers, as far as I'm concerned. You know what I mean? They're the ones who are going to always be in touch with that side of business.
Will certainly be a massive point of pride.
And you know, I'm commando trained myself. I've got a massive amount of time for the Corps. A great Corps it is too. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, there they are, proud men. And why shouldn't a Royal Marine Commando be in charge of the Navy? That's my take on it anyway. I think it's a good thing. I think it's a great thing.
For other Royal Marines.
I mean, the CEO of a company doesn't necessarily need to be an expert in all parts. In fact, sometimes it's better if they're not. Maybe...
Who's this yocker?
A slightly different view, a slightly different approach.
He's got an old alley set of wings on there, hasn't he?
Will be beneficial. I mean, if we're...
Yeah, I think you look, this guy is, you know, a change sometimes can be as good as the rest. All right, it can, and this is something that's being explored, which is exciting, isn't it?
Talking about combat experience, he has that absolutely in space farm.
The combat experience and the understanding, you know, may well help him with some of the strategic decisions he's got to make when it comes to, you know, fleet management and all the rest of the stuff that's obviously going to be shoveled on top of his already enormous plate.
More than any naval officer. So, any seagoing naval officer. So, you know, it swings and roundabouts. I think it's a good thing. It's innovative.
Oh, well, I'm glad you think it's a good thing. We're all right then, aren't we?
It sort of breaks down glass ceilings. And if he's the right man for the job, which I think he is, then, you know, who cares what colour his uniform?
Right, let's summarise this then. Whew, right, okay. We've just seen what the press are saying. But here's our summary. General Sir Gwyn Jenkins, a Royal Marine, bootneck, is now running the entire Royal Navy. That's the same Navy some old school admirals thought a bootneck should never, ever touch. Tradition, they say. Sea command, ship experience, long-standing naval heritage. But here's the thing. Tradition doesn't win wars. Capability does. And right now, we're staring down a global chaotic landscape. We've got Ukraine raging, we've got Taiwan heating up, and the UK's military leadership, fragile. Jenkins steps in after Admiral Sir Ben Key got pulled from post mid-scandal. That alone should have triggered alarm bells, but no silence. The media's largely focused on whether Jenkins knows what a destroyer looks like. Let me tell you something. This bloke isn't a paper pusher. He's fought, he's led, and more importantly, he knows how to navigate the minefield of Whitehall. That's half the battle in modern defence. Getting funding, backing, and operational freedom to do your job properly. Now, there's some truth to the criticisms. The Royal Marines are desperate for direction. They've lost their sea-to-shore capabilities. Amphibious warfare. Their bread and butter is slipping through their fingers. Jenkins could fix that, but he's also walking into a storm. Why? because his name is already attached to something darker. The Guardians exposed his alleged role in locking away SAS war crimes. But that's not for now. We're going to cover that in more detail. You know where, Force TV Plus, because I wouldn't want to be talking too much about that on this side of the firewall. So, it's been swept under the rug for a little bit. Jenkins was Deputy Director of Special Forces. The MoD says nothing was hidden. But if he did know anything, and he could do, how's he going to play when he's at the helm of the Royal Navy? And then there's the strategic defence view, which is just round the corner. Budgets will get slashed, priorities will get shifted, forces pitted against each other, everybody in the same pot of money trying to get their little bit. Is Jenkins being positioned as the man who'll protect the Marines? Or as the shield for past sins the MoD doesn't want unearthed? Look, whether you're in the Corps, the Navy, or just watching from the civvy side of things, ask yourself this. Does this appointment help the fighting force, or is it just in the MoD's interest to save its own face? Because in the end, it doesn't matter what colour your uniform is. What matters is if the job gets done, and if our troops stop being pawns in this political game of chess being played. And if you want to hear the conversations we can't discuss this side of our firewall, well, get yourself a membership, 16 pence a day on Force TV Plus, and we'll give you the bombshell, the whole lot, the real deal. All right?